In this world, there are two kinds of people, wolves and lambs. The question is, which one is Hutch? In an interrogation chamber, Hutch Mansell is bruised and bloodied, feeding a cat tuna before lighting a cigarette. The detectives ask him who he is. He claims to be nobody. Hutch is shown to live a routine lifestyle, from his morning exercise, to his daily commute, to his dead-end job, and his constant failure to catch the garbage truck. He is married to Becca, a real estate agent, and they have 2 children, Blake and Sammy. Hutch and Becca have been estranged for some time, and Blake has a low opinion of his father. One night, while checking on his kids, Hutch discovers a couple downstairs, Louis and Lupita, attempting to rob the place. Lupita spots Hutch and points her gun at him, and he tells her to take the money. The two demand Hutch's watch and wedding ring, but he only allows them to take the watch. As they try to escape, Blake tackles Louis and locks him in a hold. Lupita approaches them with a gun, and Hutch is about to swing a golf club at her, but he stops himself and tells Blake to let Louis go. When the cops arrive, both Blake and the responding officer criticize Hutch for failing to act. At work, Eddie, Hutch's boss, who is also his father-in-law, talks to him about the incident, and Becca's brother Charlie gives Hutch a gun to protect the family. Hutch later talks with his brother Harry via radio because he is in hiding. He tells Harry that he knew not to take down the robbers, because he saw that Lupita's gun was unloaded. Hutch then goes to visit his retired FBI agent Father David, who notes that he doesn't look well. Despite his best efforts, Hutch can't shake the feeling that he didn't do enough for his family when they needed him. When Sammy mentions her kitty cat bracelet is missing, Hutch assumes it was stolen by the robbers and boards a bus. He goes to David's house while he is sleeping to retrieve his old FBI badge and gun. But David notices him, and Hutch simply says he has to take care of something. Remembering a tattoo on Lupita's wrist, Hutch tracks down the tattoo parlor where she had gotten it. The men there try to intimidate Hutch until one of them notices a tattoo on his wrist. The man thanks Hutch for his service and leaves. The terrified tattoo artist then gives him Lupita's address. Hutch breaks into Louis and Lupita's apartment and scares them into handing over the watch, but they don't have Sammy's bracelet. Hutch leaves after seeing their sick baby drove them to crime. Hutch then gets on a bus heading home. A group of drunk men crash their car and enters the bus. They begin to harass the other riders, including a lone young woman. Hutch has the bus driver step out and starts a brawl with the men, who land a few good blows on him. But he then brutally beats the thugs to a pulp. One of the men, Teddy, grabs Hutch's gun and tries to shoot him, only for Hutch to disarm Teddy and then bludgeon him until his windpipe cracks. Teddy begins to suffocate, but Hutch performs a tracheotomy to keep him breathing. Hutch returns home to discover Becca still awake. She knows what he's been up to because she knows who Hutch used to be. While she is bandaging his stab wound, he tells her that they haven't been close in a long time, and it's been bothering him. At a nightclub in town, mobster Yulian Kuznetsov meets with some associates to discuss the security of their shared fortune known as the Obshak. The others doubt Yulian's abilities, but Yulian demonstrates that he is not to be trifled with when he slashes a man's throat for looking at him incorrectly. Yulian is then called to the hospital, where he finds his younger brother, Teddy. The doctors tell him that Teddy has suffered permanent brain damage. He violently interrogates Teddy's friends about what happened to him, and who is to blame. Hutch receives a phone call from Harry, who informs him that he has attracted Yulian's attention and that he is dangerous. He advises Hutch to seek information on Yulian from a man known as the Barber. Hutch goes downtown and finds the barber, who gives Hutch a file on Julian, emphasizing his violent nature and the fact that the Obshok guards millions of dollars in mob money. Julian instructs his henchwoman to dig up any dirt she can on Hutch. She blackmails her FBI informant until he discovers highly classified information on Hutch. When the henchwoman sees Hutch's file, she resigns and abandons Julian to his own devices. He then orders everyone in his command to go after Hutch and bring him in alive. As the Mansells prepare for dinner, Hutch notices 3 cars park across the street. He has Becca and the kids hide in a panic room in the basement. He then proceeds to fight them, shooting and stabbing the majority of them to death, until he is tased in the neck. The gunmen prepare to take him to Julian. However, Hutch regains consciousness in the trunk and opens it, and causes the car to crash. Hutch discovers one of Julian's men who is bleeding out, and tells the man that he used to be an auditor, the kind of hitman everyone knows to fear. As Hutch runs back home, he calls David and warns him to be cautious. Hutch sends his family to safety and retrieves his hidden gold and cash. He then finds the bracelet under the couch all along. He starts talking about his past. While employed as an auditor, Hutch set a target free, who reformed and lived happily with a new family. Wanting a similar life, Hutch retired. He burns down his house to dispose of the dead assassins and steals his neighbor's classic Dodge Challenger as he leaves to take care of more business. Meanwhile, 2 assassins go to David's retirement home and try to get him as he's sleeping. But David blasts one goon with a shotgun before suffocating the other one. Hutch buys his father-in-law's metal fabrication factory with the gold and sets about booby-trapping the entire factory. He then finds the Obshake and kills all of the guards, before burning all of Julian's money. Hutch goes to Julian's nightclub and has a meal there. He reveals that he burned all of Obshok money and makes Julian an offer to end the fighting, because Julian cannot afford the entire Obshake. Hutch offers him a retirement in one of the lesser-known Caribbean islands, away from the Russian mafia, and leaves. But Julian and his men follow him to the factory, surround him, and shoot at him. Unexpectedly, his brother Harry and his father provide him with suppressing fire, and the Russians are drawn into the factory. Hutch kills them all with a variety of weapons and lethal traps that he had prepared. Hutch, Harry, and David all survive the shootout. Hutch thanks Harry and David for their help, but makes them leave as the cops arrive. He then finds the cat and takes it with him. Cut back to Hutch in interrogation, where he still only tells the detectives that he is just nobody. The detectives then receive phone calls and are forced to let Hutch go. 3 months later, Hutch and Becca are on the hunt for a new home. The real estate agent then gets a phone call for Hutch. It's implied that somebody is still after Hutch. He and Becca then ask if the house has a basement. Thanks for watching. To catch all the latest from us, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified as soon as a new video drops. We'll see you in the next one.